I finally made it to my first spiritual gathering. I had pictured myself being there, being composed, calm, enlightened. Instead, I was crying and sobbing and had to be carried out of the room. If you're someone who has spent time stuck in bed or with chronic pain, chronic illness, real struggles and physical symptoms that just won't go away, maybe sometimes it's crossed your mind to ask, why is this happening to me? That certainly was the case for me when, after 3 years bedbound, I just couldn't find any reason for what was happening. It just didn't feel like it made sense. When I was really severe and struggling, these recordings from spiritual teachers helped me get through the days. I would listen to stories and tales being read by Ram Dass, or also Eckhart Tolle or Muji, and some other teachers too. And they felt very soothing to me. And sometimes I would hit play on a video on YouTube. I quite want to call them YouTubes because that's what one of these teachers calls them. And sometimes they would go on for hours and hours and hours and hours. And I would love it. I would feel soothed. My symptoms would go down. I would not feel lonely. It would be like a teacher maybe talking to a few hundred people, and they've recorded it. So the modern ones are on video, but some of the older ones are just audio recordings. So they might have just a still photo. But what I would do is I would just listen, and I wouldn't be looking at the screen. The screen would be dark or the iPad would be closed. I used to watch on this, my special healing iPad, tales from the past, or tales from different sacred texts, or Eastern prophet stories, tales of the Buddha, tales of Jesus. So many different stories that I had never heard. Because when I was a child, my mother was Catholic and my father was Jewish. So I had no education at all. I'm one of the few people in the world possibly who didn't ever read the Bible as a child, which was what was given usually in the UK. And no other religious texts either as a child. So I didn't have any of that background. So I was hearing these stories for the first time. So to me, it was kind of amazing to have these stories read or spoken aloud by very connected, awakened beings of this type. And to be able to access that through YouTube, because I was around before. In the before, we had to go to a library and check out a book and read it and hope it was good. And this access that we have now is stunning. So I would listen to something called satsangs, and I didn't know what they were. I'd never heard of it. So the first few times that I would listen, I didn't know they were called that. But it would be a few hundred people sitting around the teacher, and the teacher would share, and the teacher would take questions. And then there would be music. And I'm not sure which touched me more, the stories and the questions and the conversations or the music. But it was all beautiful. It helped my symptoms go down. So on a day-to-day basis, I would have quite high symptoms. And by watching these, I would be lying down with my eyes closed, and my symptoms would gradually get less and less and less. And after maybe an hour or so of listening, I could get up and go and do something. And I remember noticing that sometimes in these satsangs, there would be screaming or crying in the background. And I didn't really understand what it was, but it was regular. It was often. So you'd hear someone just seem like they were having some kind of breakdown, screaming their heads off. And then sometimes the guru will say something like, oh, well, are people seeing that she's okay? Yeah, make sure she's okay. Like, go take her and have a cup of tea. And so a couple of people would like get up and go and help this person who's screaming their head off. And it sounded like they would take them out and go and have a cup of tea with them and bring them back and stuff. Or just sit with them. So it was all very kind, but it seemed to be everybody there knew this was normal. And after a while, I started getting used to it. But sometimes that person would be in the middle of talking to the teacher. So they'd be talking and asking questions, and then they'd just start bawling or shouting and crying and screaming and have some kind of collapse. So when I was watching this, I thought, wow, this is so dramatic. And I thought, I can't wait till I go and sit with these beautiful people. I'm sure they must have some open that you can pay and go to a retreat or something. I was like, I can't wait till I'm well enough to go. And I'll be sitting there and I can watch people cracking up and losing their minds and crying their eyes out. And I thought it's going to be quite a show. There's this talking and these stories, and it's fun and interesting and enlightening. And then there are people losing their minds, falling on the floor, who have to be carried out. And then there's music. I was like, this is wonderful. Because, I was kind of mean, because I was like seeing it almost like spectacle. So when I first went to my first satsang, I did recover. And I got to travel and go to a place where I was able to sit in a room with a teacher and a few hundred people. Can you guess what I'm going to say? Guess who started losing their mind and screaming and bawling and falling on the floor and had to be led out? Yes, me, of course. It was mortifying. I really love the idea of myself as being calm and composed and retaining some kind of dignity. I saw myself as kind of advanced. I'd done all this healing work. I was like, I've been doing emotional healing. This is about being spiritual, which I still associated with being calm. I had always associated it with being calm because of Eckhart Tolle's teachings. This feeling that you're going to be calm. And I've got to tell you, spiritual and emotional healing does not mean you're going to be calm. It might mean you're often calm and well regulated after releasing stored stresses and stored emotions and stored things that are inside of your cells. But for me, calm was way down the line, and I had to go through loads of emotions and releasing stored stress and issues that were inside of me before I got there. So even after recovery, even when I'm walking around, traveling, working, I still had some more stored, buried stuff from the past, which I didn't know was there. It's subconscious, so you don't know it's there. Part of me wanted to make a good impression. I was like, oh yeah, I want these people to be my new friends. They're like enlightened, amazing people. They make beautiful music. They're living beautiful, harmonious, peaceful lives. They live in community. They're helping nourish the earth and the planet. Oh my, I was like, these are the people I want to hang out with. But no, I'm just covered in snot, screaming. I've got a lot of physical things going on in my body that felt like maybe I need an exorcism. The reason I'm sharing this is partly to say you don't need to go to a gathering too soon. You shouldn't feel like you're missing out on any gathering. If there's emotional healing to do, if you're doing brain rewiring, both of which things I hope you are doing, because they're really powerful for a chronic illness healing journey, and they're what I did for me to recover. It's good to do lots of that work before you're putting yourself in an environment that's super intense, because it can just impact you very fast, and that might mean you completely lose self-control, like I did. There's a downside and the upside. The downside, of course, is all the shame in me came up. It's good because I'm into healing that stuff. I'm loving to let go of that. But I didn't love it in that moment. And then the upside is then everybody knows you. So people come and give you hugs. So it really is not bad. It really is lovely. People sit with you and chat with you. And these guys blew my mind as well. A couple of guys who looked after me when I was going through the hours of total meltdown. They bought me ice cream and talked about their lives, and I couldn't have wished for anything more beautiful and nourishing. In case you're new here, my name is Amari Love. I'm a writer and filmmaker and a somatic coach and mind-body practitioner who recovered from cancer and 3 decades of chronic illness, and now I share everything I learned. So it's not a bad thing if you want to look up satsangs, S-A-T-S-A-N-G, satsangs, and then you'll see kind of a bunch of people sitting around talking, being together, listening to stories. And if it feels nourishing to you, that's good. You could watch a little bit every now and again. But if it doesn't, if it's annoying, then it's not needed. It's not a necessary part of recovery. The music I found so moving and touching that I do feel that music is a very useful part of healing. And I do make music that has brain rewiring built into it to help people take the next step forward. So I will link below so you can access the free playlists that I have for you. And some of them include the kind of chant and response, so you can speak the words, so you're actively brain rewiring yourself whilst you're also getting the emotional release benefits of the music. Because that's what was happening to me, listening to the music at the end of satsangs. It was going in deep, it was affecting my emotions, it was allowing me to release and process, and the words were rewiring me completely. Thank you for being here. Take good care of yourself now.